Hello and welcome to this joint session from the Infrastructure and Railway domains. This is part of the bSDD International Summit here in Marrakesh 2024. In fact, this is the final session of the final day, so well done for making it this far. Thanks for joining us in the room and online. You'll see the details of today's session on the screen. We are going to be talking about using bSDD for infrastructure and railway projects. Before I hand over to Mirbek, who will start the session, I'd like to remind you this is a hybrid event. For online attendees, your microphones will remain muted for the duration. If you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please add it to the comments box and I will prompt you to do so. For attendees in the room, please keep background noise to a minimum. However, we would value any questions and comments that you have, so please raise your hand and we will give you a microphone. Session is scheduled to last 60 to 90 minutes. We will finish no later than 5, including time for questions at the end. The session is being recorded and will be made available in the replay section of the event as soon as possible. I'd also like to bring to your attention the information on the screen in a moment. Yep, bSDD is committed to ensuring that participation in the development of standards is unrestricted and the process for their adoption is transparent, and that standards that are developed do not favour any particular provider but are open, non-binding and accessible to all. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. With that, I'm going to hand over to Mirbek.
Thank you, John. Hello, everyone. So before we start, we have a working group, right? And we had a session previously yesterday on the updates from our side, and we had a chance to go through our scope and goals, deliverables within the working group, and I took a chance to integrate the QR code this time. First of all, I'm Mirbek Vikbaliyev. I'm Technical Project Manager of buildingSMART Germany, and also in the Building Domain Steering Committee in the bSDD International. So have some connections, let's say, in between domains, and we'll try to go through the details. And I hope that you can see the screen. If you are not aware what's working group bSDD for infrastructure doing, simply scan this QR code, copy the link. You can simply join the Miro board where we brainstorm, we collect feedback, opinion, ideas, and comments from domain experts. And of course, you also, as domain expert, invited. You can feel free to add your comments, feel free to add your ideas. Please don't break it, let's say, don't delete anything, but feel free to give your contacts as well, if you want to have also some feedback from our side and some updates. Well, what the idea to create demo dictionary for infrastructure was targeted not to reproduce infrastructure domain, or let's say all domains within the IFC schema. That was not our purpose. We wanted just to show how bSDD dictionary should look like. Someone who is especially willing to create a catalog or, let's say, classification for bSDD at also a national level and within the domain, so that they will be aware on basis of this bSDD example how it could work. First of all, we thought, like, let's go through some examples. We analyzed several dictionaries, and one additional dictionary just that we still have to also somewhen develop. It was like from high voltage and medium voltage transmission distribution, or power distribution, transmission and distribution initiative. There was idea to also develop a taxonomy, and this is like a place where you have to collect your assets, right? Before you start digitalizing or creating any use case, even just an example, if use case, bringing this example from substation to from station to substation, you need to know all assets that you have to cover. Without that assets, you won't be able to create any use case, and you will, as soon as you know those classes and types, you will be able to map it with IFC. You will be able to provide additional, let's say, additional property sets with properties that will be needed for that. Of course, you also need to compare the existing schema, what is already covered. And by doing so, you will be able to see gaps. And that's the most important. We need to know what is currently available. If not, then we can react, we can propose something new. And of course, we can show and demonstrate. So this isn't just an example. This is a simple illustration, but as you can see, we don't have to scratch, especially in the electrical domain. I'm not talking domain like our previous rooms, but the domains in the IFC schema. We have electrical domain there, but electrical domain doesn't cover anything at the moment. I mean, in the way of new properties, maybe in some types, and like as far as I remember, electrical domain or room, former room, they also discussed that there should be a clear identification of voltage, like is it high voltage, is it medium voltage. It's already covered there, but it should be strictly defined. And we also have some discussion within that domain how we can proceed. So that's just in a small examples how we can create as a taxonomy within the dictionary as a let's say demo case. And let's go through some of them. If you can see, we have already overhead lines covered in the schema. So you have a chance also map that schema with, or in that case, dictionary now, with other classifications within this bSDD. You can reference your create hierarchy or relations from class to class, and from one class to another dictionaries class, or from property to existing property. It's just if we check other dictionaries, I'm not criticizing, I'm just giving examples. If you check other dictionaries, sometimes you don't find even classical IFC mapping. That's actually should be a minimum standard or the minimum requirement, maybe as a mandatory. So you have to at least map IFC. So that's, I guess, job anyways of bSDD. How do they call it, Arthur? The group bSDD. There is a group I heard. Okay, I think it's.
I want to get into the group. I don't know.
Okay, that's right. Okay, we got yesterday comment that was a group that will be checking the quality of the dictionaries.
Oh, that's bSMART team that is
Okay,
doing the verification. Yes.
All right. Okay. So then it's exactly the point. So let's see the orange part. We cover just as an example orange part because it's actually the scope of transmission distribution to cover transmission distribution. It says it's for itself. So let's go through. We thought what can be best example. Just take a simply transmission tower. That's the first thing that comes into my mind. You get the transmission tower. The tower itself also covered in IFC schema. You're not reinventing wheel, right? We have IFC element assembly with a predefined type pylon, and it's a class that you can directly use, the type that you can use to map that in bSDD. So that's how it looks like. It's a bunch of, let's say, list of, currently it's a list of classes. But behind that, if you open the first one, let's say a transmission tower, because it creates a hierarchy and relation. It shows that I have already parts. I have a part like a foundation and so on. So I will simply go through that details. And previously there was no regulation, but there's a new that I as soon as since IDS went to was recognized as a standard, 10, and it's taking the code as a basis. So it's of course now important to also provide coding, not like before 0.1 XYZ, but to add this almost same machine readable but still unreadable version of a code. So as you can see here, yeah, exactly as you can see. In the left column, you see that's grammatically correct way of giving the name, like electrical transmission system. On the right side, it's like a computer readable one. It's still, but it's human readable. You can see, you can also use it as an electrical transmission system. You see that, and it's it makes life easier. Someone who is using ideas to create it, because imagine you got a specification and suddenly there are many properties or some class you're not aware of, and there is just a number and coding. You have to definitely take time and go back to dictionary. And luckily there is a URI, so you can follow the link back and it will open you that's actually, let's say, fire rating or nominal power or something like that. So current rate, or I don't know. You definitely can give that source by using bSDD. And what also is possible, all that components like tower, transmission tower, pylon, we can give also synonyms. They have materials. By doing so, you can also create material catalog. They're standardized and they're transported through IFC material with a relation. So you can see here, just as a first simple example, the pylon, high voltage pylons are usually I'm assembled. You don't do that with a timber. I never seen it, but we have and then as a chance to use property sets and properties sets going through groups of properties, and you have two properties, as you can see, ground clearance types or framing types. It's just two simple examples. Why I want exactly to give this example. Those examples are by type. So you can, if you don't have a chance to provide types in bSDD, not in bSDD, in IFC, you can introduce some property with a predefined types, listed values, and give at least opportunity that the designer can express that object more clearly. So that's a type that we will be discussing now later on with the lacing types, or use also classical way like fire rating, but you don't need a second time define fire rating here. That's a point here. You have relations, and if you see there's a ground clearance, it's almost the same thing like a clearance. You will see that that differences. You'll just brought it to you. So we start with first class and we go down quickly. A transmission tower. You see that this definition, and we have definition, we have description, we have a chance to provide synonyms. That's really important. If you want, like in a research paper, you provide a paper with 5 or 3 keywords, so that it will be more chances to that your property or class. Yeah, so you can, let's say, will increase the chance of finding it. And by default, you have this relation with IFC like in the element assembly pylon. We have now properties through the property set, ground clearance, and if we go deeper, let me open the relations. It's just a random relation. It's really long. That's why I had to divide. Actually, it's on one page, and now you can go through down. It's really a compliment to Arthur on the BSI team. They made it more intuitive. You can see on the right above side, you can even now type and find the related domain related class faster than before. So now we have more filters that you can apply. And let's go first one. There are different types of relations. Starting, for example, with components. Yeah, tower. What it may have. It's an assembly. That assembly means you have some components that bring it together, right? We have just an example of starting from below, foundation. Foundation itself, it has also IFC on it's like IFC counterpart, which is IFC footing, or depends on the type, of course, or IFC deep foundation and so on. So we have a chance to define directly and have a given relation. Or we have also a chance to say we also have one component like a shield, let's say, warning shield, which is IFC sign, pictorial, right? You definitely don't need to create additional one. You can directly use that one. And the same, if you want to have the dictionary in in your dictionary, you definitely should provide a proper relation, like saying it's similar or is equal. But if you check the notes for relation for equal, it means it's almost like a translate. Actually, what suggested go to dictionary and translate it. All right, let's go further. We have bracing elements. We have some maybe let's say bracing, like I already mentioned, and of course you can directly have parts as well. And you see those are parts. Has part, has reference, has material, is similar. So you see you have a.
Do you want to have mic?
Yeah. And we have different. I simply highlighted the types that we used of that relation. You have as a reference, has material, so it's made of steel. Yeah, clear. We have a material relation. We have it's a similar to, but why it's similar to? We have uniclass here from completely different dictionary, but we say it's has relation. It's something that really almost similar. And we have also the same way from all other from ATM. If it's fits, you search it within the dictionary and you find it. You tag it with related type of this relation. Why it's also important? Now we have back relations, so it will be, again, research papers, right? You're writing, you're citing someone. If you cited someone, it will be cited back, and you can trace. It will be like giving you credibility. It gives you a chance to also to harmonize any kind of dictionaries. So I think it is most great feature now. Have a question or comment?
No, it's a question and a rather technical one. So I'm not sure. But what I'm asking myself is how are these associations, these typed associations, then how is the result then in the IFC file? Is it? Can you see it in the result also? Is there? At least I don't know any typed association in. Sure. In IFC, maybe Chi.
Yes, you can actually.
Okay. I can answer. Hi, Artur Tomczak from buildingSMART. In bSDD, if you use this class that this page is referring to in your IFC, you only see the reference to that class. But if somebody goes to that page, they can see the references. So it's not stored in the IFC.
It start as well. If maybe it's a feature that some API developers did, but if you mentioned that this classification, let's say it's also uniclass, you go to the IFC model, you will see the same classification that you apply to this class. So there's a chance that you can use both. I mean, at least those APIs currently that I used, you have a chance to use the same dictionary and use their property set. So it's really at compact. They're like a bunch, or how I call it. We can show
Let's
it
not make
later.
it too complicated.
Yeah.
Basically, you put one reference in the IFC, yes, there is one tool that suggests you there are other
More.
similar classes that you could add, and that tool is adding more. But yeah, let's stick to the simple example. It's just one reference to one class, and you don't see the other relations in the IFC model.
And also not the type. So this S part is now, you cannot find S part in the IFC.
But
Actually, yes.
it's yeah, the types of relations. This is very data dictionary specific thing. So has material, for example, in IFC, you do it with material reference relation. So IFC can contain, you can put this information in IFC, but there are different ways to put different types of classes in IFC. So you can do it. It depends really on the implementation. But in bSDD, you're just showing how you want to structure this information.
Yeah, but in this case, it's an IFC element assembly pylon. So that's the
Yes.
the higher level, and it has several objects below it. What's the name or what's the entity of that object? Is that foundation, conductor, bracing element, or what is that?
Yeah,
An
they're,
object type?
they're within the dictionary. As you can see, there is on the third one, second from left, you see which dictionary you're referencing. If it says it's within the dictionary, then it's a demo dictionary electricity, like you see. And if you see the IFC, only class there below, so it means you have external dictionary already applied there. So you will always have a chance to trace back which dictionary was mentioning there. And of course, actually, it's a positive side when you have a chance to mention other dictionaries. Imagine you're dealing with a multinational, which is in Europe really common now, linking Italy with Germany through and France, and they'll be line. Imagine that, but it's a one IFC model, let's say, right? And there are different kinds of regulations. Let's say Italian regulation, then comes it should be class called or whatever, and then you go through Alps and Swiss and Austria and maybe, and then goes to Germany. Then we have in German requirements like it should be, but so because they have requirements, right? And you can't, in order to have the requirements, it's just a classification. You can apply several ones at the same time, and then you go further to France and you end up there. So, but you have a chance to reference. If you do that, then it will be a positive for your project, at least in that case. I don't know if you have, I guess, some other opinion.
I can
It's a different case.
just add to it that what we are looking at right now, this is outside of your IFC model. In your IFC, you will have just, if you click on an element, that will be IFC element assembly of pylon. That has also a classification reference to, I'm not sure what we are looking at, but let's say
Uniclass, it's electricity transmission pylons and lines.
For example, electricity transmission pylons and lines. So that's the only thing you will have in the model. You can add more classification references in IFC, but it's up to you what you want to. In bSDD, this is just to show the relations between different classification systems. If somebody wants to do, for example, automatic conversion to different classification system, or if you have projects spanning multiple countries, you want to have multiple classification systems applied. So yeah, don't get overwhelmed. The additional information that we have in bSDD.
Do you have this in an example model, for example, in Vision or something
Yes.
like that? That's coming,
Yes,
right?
it's
Okay.
coming.
Yeah.
Questions?
Maybe I can explain the problem because, okay, dictionary is nice, but the way we are looking at it is we are managing the railway infrastructure from Austria, and we try to use this nice BIM data we get then later on and spread the information in the systems which have obviously another hierarchy, another structure, because it's financial. So from the financial point of view, a tunnel with two tubes is just a tunnel. And therefore we try, somehow we must express at the model we get, at the as-built model, some relations. And then earlier in this bSDD, and this would be exactly what we need somehow. But if it's then, I can state it here and express it that, okay, this is the data structure I won't have. And then at the end, I don't have it because IFC is not able. Then, okay, I end up at the same point as now. This is something I'm not sure. So that's, but I just wanted to bring up the problem that you understand why I was asking this. It's not because, okay, I understand, but you can reference different dictionaries. It's nice. Oh, yeah.
Stefan, what about Rail? How do you?
Same thing. Also with ÖBB, we do have our own dictionary at the moment, which is fdk.app.sbb.ch. It's public, so you should visit it. And we use a similar concept. I think what is really important is that there is a unified platform where you can build relations according to your national classification systems or to the classifications that you need. And if that is bSDD, then that's perfectly fine. If that is another platform that you could use for your use case, then that's fine as well. But I think in terms of standardization, that is the right way to go. On the other hand, I must give some credit to the input that came from Franz Josef. The relation between certain entities, between certain classes, and between certain properties really depends on the use case that you want to have with your data. And as an IFC model that comes out, I think we have to take a step back and look at the bSDD as a dictionary and as a basis for information that then can be used for other use cases. Because, for example, one thing that I just stumbled upon when you presented it is the whole material. If you can build relations, at least that's what I guess, you can build relations between materials, probably. Yeah. And the definition of materials really matter on which side of the project involved party you are. For example, there is a contractor that I know of that has 5,500 different material properties for gravel. We don't need that. Not in a million years. So I think it really depends on your use case, but you have to have a concept which is reliable behind it, and you need to have a platform. Yeah.
Thank you, Stefan. Any other question? So this is outgoing relation, let's say, or also within and outside. And then we have also incoming, right? We can see that we were referenced by someone else, but it's in that case currently only within. So I'm a transmission tower. I have part, which is foundation. I have a child as well. I mean, predefined types usually defined through child and parent relation. And let's just an example, suspension tower. Yeah, so it's just a predefined type. Let's say it's a dictionary. When we're not discussing completeness of this dictionary, just to demonstrate how it's built, how we should build next one, or the one harmonized one that we want to do. So we have incoming, we have a part like a bracing element, anti-climbing guard, or shields and so on, and lightning protection and so on, right? Conductors and so on, as you can see. So let's check ground clearance. That's an electrical EEC dictionary. It's completely defined, but it's exactly the same defined in other dictionary. Like I also seen in IFC, it's also clearance, and you can directly define it as an electrical clearance, but it's not the same thing. So it will be used later on in IDS and the requirements. If according to electrical world, let's say, they will definitely need to have to see that property as a ground clearance. So you need to cover that. Maybe they also have IDS for their own world. Let's say if we don't deliver that, we'll but our case, we have IFC clearance. I mean, in IFC schema, electrical clearance, right? To say it's equal, because we have definitions with different name, but it's really similar that you can use as a reference. Lacing types. I just give an example. You can create also predefined list or listed values, which is really good thing in bSDD, that you can apply directly in your IFC, apply to the IFC, any IFC object, because we have such a kitchen, industrial kitchen, food service equipment. There are many types, but in IFC schema we had only 3 or 5, and they were not related to industrial kitchen. They were related to domestic kitchen, like dishwasher, washing machine, coffee machine, and so on. But we had to have some industrial freezer, I don't know, cold room equipment. That's how we defined that in bSDD with the help of types. I mean, as a property with listed values. And now, okay, spacer. As another class, as you can see, we have definition, we have description, and that's below again relations. And I'm just giving you boring relations from one to one, but you have a chance to give a relations anyway. And that's, I think, it's the most important when you do harmonization work. This is an example how it looks like later on in let's say in bSDD API. There is also second one. I had no time to integrate one. It's also solution from Netherlands. It's a DG base one, and this one is from OpenASC from Japan. And as you can see, those relations is also available as a list. If you click on them, first your own class, and you have this property set, like I already mentioned, P set transmission tower, right? And you have this listed value double warren. It's a framing type, lacing type, as you remember. Ground clearance I already have, and transmission tower itself, it will be as a classification code. And what we also have, we have this red and green, blue and orange. Those are different types of relations. If I click on them, I can also apply. I don't have to look. I don't have to open now. Let's say ATEMs or uniclass dictionary and find the related property, apply it onto my model. I can stay here, the same place, directly apply second property set with a related property directly and assign it to my model. I don't have to go through. So it's really saving time, saving energy, let's say, in that case, and you can go through all that kind of relations. That's really, I think, helpful after all. And how it ends, and so it's just, you need to define it properly and give the relations. That's the most important. Sorry?
Then you can choose. If you have a list for one page back, please. Then on the right side, you have a drop-down menu from which values you can.
Here. As you can see, this list, like single warren, double warren, triple warren, cape bracing, and double warren redundant support. That's our typical structure, like how they are braced. And as you can see here on an example, here's the lacing type. Here you are, lacing program. I can simply choose a related one, apply to my model, export later on, and you will see that directly will be applied into my exported as an IFC model.
Okay.
Sorry. No, I don't have many slides. So next one, as it gets, that's the relation. So I'll just scroll down. There are some, of course, other dictionaries. So water management in Germany, we try to do same thing, same style. So in the national level, of course, trying to harmonize. We also try to go through the, like, actually, I think this one was even a source or base for this inspiration from Jürgen Litsch. We have within the working group in Germany, classic catalog, or like a class catalog, object catalog that we wanted to publish and apply some requirement at the government level to apply that classes, and they should be classified properly according to the requirement. And we're currently working on the property sets for each one, for each class, 290, I guess. And of course, as soon as you have dictionary, harmony, that's important. You can create ideas out of it without any efforts, really. As a single source of truth, if you have a dictionary, it's easier to create any dictionary rather than creating with a scratch. It's really, so it's the first step to create a dictionary then. Okay, I guess open for questions, unless if we don't have time, then we can give stage to Tina.
Are there any more thoughts or comments from anybody before we ask Tina to present?
No?
I would have a question for you or for the audience. I think one of the most important things to use data that we gather from models in other use cases are classification systems. Classification systems that exist, at least in our country, are done by a standards organization. They are not free. They are on the fair payment, but they require a license to use. Does anybody else have the same issue or the same problem, or are we the only ones have to pay for our classification systems and therefore cannot use it on a bSDD?
I can reply on behalf of Finland, because we are kind of facing the similar type of challenge, but we nowadays do a close collaboration to the Building Council Institute, who are the responsible of the classification system in Finland, and hopefully in the future it's not behind the cost barrier, that then we can share it openly. And actually, in my example, we did create the classification system in bSDD, but it's not the official one because we didn't get a kind of the official kind of license to do so. But it's just because we wanted to test to combine two different dictionaries together.
I can also add to this answer to this question. So I know some of the German standards are considering publishing in bSDD publicly, so they will kind of like lose the income stream, let's say. But also some are considering publishing privately in bSDD, and we offer such option. So basically, they have to list users with access to the content. We usually try to promote public sharing of classification systems because that allows, for example, building those relations mapping. But we also offer this option. If somebody wants to publish the dictionary in bSDD and benefit from all of the software implementations, they can do that. And it's possible to just list users with access to the dictionary. But this is not something you will see in the search page because you need to have an access to this. But again, this is not a common thing, and this is not something we really recommend doing.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Should I switch the slide, or who is switching the slide? John?
Yep, I'll switch it.
Yes, thanks. Yes, this is just a quick example, kind of related what Merbeck just shown, that what has been FTIA, so Finnish Transport Infrastructure Agency, been testing a lot of kind of different type of use cases related to the bSDD, and Tarmo here is together with me, but you can then add something if you find that I missed something, but we can take the next slide. So just a kind of, not sure where I should stand that I see the slides. Maybe I come here. But just as a background, it has always been the case that what it has been claim that asset manager doesn't tell what data they want back. So we turn it the other way around. So we started to look closely to the asset management register, that what type of data they do have there, and then try to build up the data requirements based on the kind of requirements coming through the register. Actually, if you follow the design phase and the construction phase, which is normally the pre-model phase according to the ISO 19650, then there is always a gap to kind of transfer the data to the asset information management or asset information model. And there's a lot of manual work needed. So that was kind of the background of all of this. And I think many good things has said already today, because it depends on the use cases. If you use bSDD only as a kind of dictionary, so it doesn't need to relate it all the time, IFC 4.3 or even the IFC as an deliverable. So you can utilize bSDD in many ways when delivering the maybe standardized machine readable data, where you have defined and predefined values and maybe even the property set type of elements. Yeah, we can skip that. But the work we did first was kind of starting with this open BIM workflow. So define the needs. And as I said, the needs came from the asset manager and the asset information perspective. Like we all know, the requirements exist in the register, but they exist also the guidelines, PDFs, different type of documents, and also kind of some of the requirements are coming through the contract even. So kind of we just check through all these possible sources where information requirements are defined, and then collect those together. And then we tested the idea also with experts, technical experts in the workshop. So some of the requirements that are nowadays in the register and all in the guidelines are the kind of that they might even not be needed anymore, or some kind of information requirements were the kind of that they didn't even exist, even though the information was needed. So we did this type of exercise, and it is a huge work. It doesn't happen in one night, even in 1 year, but at least you need to start somewhere. Then what we did next was kind of the second phase of this open BIM workflow. So we defined the standardization and standardize kind of the properties. I don't know even if I want to use the term property set, but I will use it here, like the property set type of ideas. We compared all of the properties that we got from the experts and from the requirements already existing IFC 4.3 specification. And of course, there were some direct hits, but there were a lot of things that were still missing. But kind of those are requirements coming from our national authority, and somehow we wanted to make those requirements as machine readable as possible. And then kind of we create the first part of this open BIM workflow. So the business needs was defined, and then the information requirements were defined, even though in the requirement phase in this open BIM workflow, it says the project information requirements, but these were actually the asset information requirements. So they are information requirements, and it doesn't matter that where the requirements are coming from. And then we have also tested to kind of produce the deliverables. I don't use the term, maybe part of the deliverables were IFC files, but there was a good conversation already that maybe you cannot deliver IFC 4.3 and all this information in the way that it was kind of officially supposed to do it, because there is a many question marks still, but we still produce the information from the designer part and actually interviewed the designer who created the design, that what they think if they could have all these requirements through bSDD. And it was shown in Merbeck presentation already that it's possible. We created the add-ons in Civil 3D, and we got all the information through bSDD and attached quite easily to the models, and then the designer get all the information that they need to add to the kind of as a database to the information they create. So all the needed properties, all the allowed values, all the linkage, all information, and it was very easy for them. And this also allows us as an international organization to utilize a much more agile way the teams from different countries, because you don't need to explain that actually these are the requirements coming from this client, or these are the requirements coming from this client. So it very much is the work. And one good thing is also that you can have the different languages in bSDD, so then it doesn't matter if they are non-Finnish speaking people, because in Finland you need to deliver everything in Finnish, but then we could have the bSDD in English, but when we deliver, it's easy to then transfer all the information in the Finnish, but the one designer understand perfectly then what they are doing, because it's then in English. But then shortly about the dictionaries that FTIA has created to the system. So there is one for bridge, one for road, one for rail, and then there is the infrabim nimikkeistö, which is the classification. So the Finnish, according to the Finnish classification system. So kind of we wanted to show that it's possible to combine information from different dictionaries to the data that we produce. And these are kind of the real life examples. So we have been testing, and we still continue testing those in the real project. And there is actually now ongoing 3 or 4 different construction or design projects, both for rails and roads, and we are testing to utilize all this information in the project phase. But then also what was good with this exercise, this is now partly in Finnish, so those properties, but as you can see, there is an existing register, so we didn't try to solve any existing challenges. This information is in the road dictionary and road register, existing road register, which is now in the dictionary, but it's the railing information. And as you can see, it's pretty much different than what FTIA is demanding to have the bridge register. So this is the same railing, but the location is in the bridge asset management register. So you need to produce this much information from railing. And this is the road register, and the information list is like this much to compare to the bridge register. So this is a good way to kind of make it visible that at some time future, maybe not even near future, but some elements that are kind of cross-domain elements, then maybe the owner needs to harmonize a little bit the content of different register, that what data actually is needed. And through this exercise, it was also found that, for example, for the road signs, they demand 150 different attributes attached to the road signs. And then actually most of them in the register, they are emptying those kind of required attributes, and there is of course many reasons behind of this, but it makes also visible that the owner started to think that maybe actually all of these requirements are not needed anymore, and that's just based on the history. So it's just gives a good kick to start to do something with these requirements which might not be aligned within each other. And then as a last part, I think that bSDD is very difficult concept to understand, to be honest. I have been learning it like for 5 years now, and I slowly start to get the beauty of bSDD. And then when you start to explain it to someone, it's really difficult. I think mainly, for example, in Finland, the priority number 1 mistake is that when you just translate dictionary to your local language, it goes wrong. So then you lose it already. And then it takes like 2 years to get rid of that first imagination, what the dictionary might be. And then you can finally start to maybe build up the content to bSDD. But I hope in this session, I'm not sure you have time left, but that maybe not challenges, but what we have found out with this exercise is that actually you can create the content using bSDD in very many different ways. And I don't have the answer that what way is the best possible way. But I hope that maybe together we could test different use cases and figure out that what are kind of the dictionaries that might be common to as an international level, and in which part of the information is the kind of that it stays in the national level, because kind of all those properties and property sets that we were created for FTIA, we found out that it's almost impossible to harmonize in the international level, or maybe not impossible, but it takes like years, like tens of years, and I'm not sure that if it's even the value worth doing then, but just open for any comments or conversations, and Tarmo has a very good knowledge also about the maybe communication possibilities that this has opened.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think this work is very interesting because actually in our organization, we have 5 different asset information systems. We have a rail and road and bridge lightning systems and seaways. And the gap between the design, construction, and then the asset information, there has always been a gap. And now, earlier, the BIM has always been a design and construction thing, and okay, keep it there. But now our asset information people has really understood that this is probably the only way to get the information from projects to the asset information. So it has waken up, and also this is the only way to get the requirements from the asset information systems to the different places, design, construction, even to the maintenance development. So I think this pilot has lots of promises. Like Tina said, it's not ready in next year, but our ministry has targets that 2027, the information from design to construction, information has to flow from design to construction to asset information automatically. And it's a very, very, very hard target. And I think this pilot is our way there, I hope. And we are hoping so.
Yeah, so this was just an illustration that we tried to tell a story about bSDD in the way that it's easy to those who doesn't have heard about anything about the bSDD understand at least a small part that what it could do for you, because it's kind of the thing that everybody wins. So it's kind of the win-win situation, how I see it.
Another stupid question, maybe. Did you, because you said you produced, there was this little process where you say, okay, you produced IDS then. Did you, because the requirements are different in different project phases. So is there a possibility in bSDD to say, okay, this is just for the project phase design, and this is just for the, or we will add the information for then as built and so on. Is there a possibility to say to state this thing technically?
Well, I'm maybe not best person to answer technical questions, but
I would say that in bSDD, you like the classes and properties that you want to use on a project, but IDS is the tool, like it's the standard for specifying at which stage you want to have certain aspects. So no, in bSDD, you just define, like IFC has thousands of properties, but with IDS, you can specify which properties are expected when.
Yeah, is it possible to use this tool at bSDD to say what property I expect to be filled out and be in the model?
That's not the intention.
Yeah, but no. maybe this is something that.
Maybe we can add at least an extra dictionary with, and then link all the stages to the properties. Then you have a publication in bSDD what represents the stage, and then you can link that. Maybe Ariska has
Ariska, Schiphol Airport, airport domain. But we have done so, not so much yet with the bSDD, but in our data model, we have defined all of the stages for our information requirements. And Hans Hendricks and Maya Trifona have done a test with bSDD, or at least IDS, to create an IDS to do those checks, because they are very, very important for clients to check what if the requirement per stage. So it is maybe something to look into. We've made it work for the IDS part based on our data model, but not yet with the link to the bSDD. Yeah, same. We not BIMQ, but I think we did it with Akka software. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I take first then. Okay, ladies first. Yes.
I think it would be interesting to do it with the bSDD.
Yeah.
See how
But
we can somehow make that work.
Yeah, and maybe
Good
this is
discussion.
just exactly the conversation that we are looking for, because it's of course possible that you can build up the dictionaries according to the stages of the life cycle to bSDD, but it's maybe not the way we want to go. That then there should be some other way to filter that what you need, for example, in design phase, what in construction phase, what in asset management life cycle phase. But I think that my colleagues here has something to add.
Yeah, just one thing about, I think the bSDD, I remember Beijing 2019, where the bSDD was the dictionary of dictionaries. And I kind of like this wording as being the dictionary of dictionaries, to gather data and gather requirements and gather properties from all around, and to make it available to the industry. But then again, I think it's quite important that that the bSDD still keeps a very clear scope on what it can do, on what it cannot do. For example, we have some challenges that we face with our own database, that we include those stages, and at which stage we require that, but we have different phase models than probably the rest of the world, although they are the same, but they are called differently. And to have a common database or a common dictionary where you can put everything in is a good thing, but then you really need to scope it out on what you should do and what you shouldn't.
Shall I finish I would like to finish a line, let's say.
There's one more question.
All right. That it was a comment actually to...
I don't know if it's a question, but it's related to what he was saying. Because would you, Tina, bring those, I don't know, it's not a logo, what we are using recently, like the need, define, that sequence.
I think it's the first.
Yeah. The define one.
Yes.
I think it was that one. Or that require one, yeah. But before this one, you said, well, we are using bSDD to define the requirements. And okay, but we can use it as an ingredient, let's say. But in the end, we will use IDS as the end tool to go against the model that is providing us the answer to our request, let's say, okay? So what I'm thinking is about, well, maybe do we need another, we have many other, many things already, right? But we need another service. I don't know if it's the UCM service or it's another one that fills that gap. I mean, if we have many other regions, countries, and so on, and different requirements, maybe all of us, we can use the same ingredients, let's say, in the bSDD, but the way how we cook the different menus, let's say, are, of course, related to use cases or whatever. So we have already that service there. Maybe not in the format that it is nowadays, but somehow I miss that place in which we can connect the end tool, which is the IDS, but then I see bSDD not the place to define that. I see the bSDD like the storage or the place in which I take, because I'm the chef, but I'm cooking in another place, you know. Well,
Yeah,
I don't
we have been, I'm not sure that if I answer the question, but we have been struggled to describe what bSDD is like. It's the dictionary of dictionaries. So we have been using even the term the distribution channel. So you have those requirements, some kind of somewhere you just distribute those through bSDD. Because kind of in this case, FTIA is responsible for maintaining, for example, if there is this predefined values or this pick list for different value types, then someone needs to maintain what are those value types all the time. So now it's.
Yeah, I understand, but there's the difference between the range of values that you can pick up, let's say, and then once you are in your project, you are somehow instantiating, so I don't know if it's the word. So, I mean, I see it as the storage, sorry, Mirbek, maybe.
I want to add something there. Exactly, storage. Great. We have to. I want to refer again, Arthur. He said actually we do define on project base, from project to project, define an ideas. We don't have to mix stuff and create project-based bSDD, which will be, I don't know, it's out of scope, out of everything. What's important is if you have a property that has a listed values, like you already mentioned now, then you should provide that full, at least like usual way, a schema, right? At least maximum or commonly used values. And if you have potential ones, you can still add user defined, right? This is, let's say so. Let's give that chance to be flexible. But you have to think about bSDD, then it should be a maximum values that you provide as a storage, so that user will be able to pick them in your IDS or IDS or publication somewhere else, and use case management. Exactly, we had exactly the same page, same thing. We published, by the way, this dictionary, the example class catalog, we published as a use case. It says we have these properties, but if you go to dictionary, the same class, it has a full properties, because for one specific case, it should be applied only for specific, let's say, use case, but not in that case. So in bSDD, it should be the full spectrum. Maximum, of course, you don't know whether it's maximum, but at least commonly used and the widespread ones.
And one use case, it's just using one part of that range, and the other, it's using even overlapping some of them. And this is correct. I mean, it's like the, again, with this idea of ingredients, and
yeah,
I will not use, I don't know, rice, because, but rice is there. You know, I don't need it, but it's necessary that that rice is there, because we have identified that a maximum number of whatever you need regarded to that class,
or maybe store all the IDS as an OpenCD API for especially IDS files within maybe the use case management or a new service. And then
just an example, by the way, there was a session today in the morning at 9 a.m. There's a sustainability strategy group, and there is a really nice examples within that use case. It's published as a release along with 3 different ideas for product, facility, and declaration. And if you go to that use case, I can just open it if you want. It's linked with the dictionary, so you don't have to speculate. And of course, the dictionary itself should also be sometimes maybe related to that use cases. If it's same publication and same author, you can also give by the way, that's what I forgot. You can also give sources for outside normative documents or like standards. That's also important, like ISO standard 10 and whatever. And that's what is possible in bSDD. Tina mentioned about Finnish language. We have all other languages as well. And do you remember IFC translation framework and saying that we have now that part? If you open bSDD, IFC translation is all, there are many translation already there. So it means that's harmonized dictionary that we currently now. Maybe someone has an interest and say, oh, I want to have the same, let's say, dictionary in my language. So it's possible and it's flexible. Now, the one more thing that I forgot to mention, I guess that you have a chance even to download JSONs now, as I can see, but I don't know what is that for. So maybe that will be a quick question to Arthur. What was the intention to provide JSON for each class and specification, not class and properties?
It was always there. It's just now, yeah, the button is more visible. But there are many ways how you can like download the content through the API. This is just one of many.
Okay.
But I wanted to add to the previous answer. So, yeah, bSDD is not meant to be the library of IDS files, even though we considered having a separate library of IDS files. But then we decided it's out of our mandate. It should be one of the companies that yeah already do it. So right now bSDD is more like library of terms that people can agree on and they can be reused. If you want to add like somebody mentioned that they want to add also like the phase when this information is needed, then we will lose the consensus, because some people will say, okay, I want to know the density of this material only at the very final stage. Somebody will say they need it at the conceptual stage because they need it for the design. So it's the more information we add to bSDD, the more difficult it will be to get consensus. So the more duplicate elements we will have. So we have to draw a boundary somewhere.
Can I show something that I mentioned? If you just John share the screen, that's how you can CM4. You have use case, publish your use case, link the bSDD directly there, upload your IDS files, so you can provide opportunity so that everyone can replicate and prove that your use case is working, because that's I think is the most important thing. If you can say the methodology can be applied, like in the research world, like you publish something, it's methodology. If someone reads it, it's a positive, let's say, feedback for you, and plus citation. And citation in that case, you can, and by the way, it's in UCM, use cases to use cases as well. Don't forget about it. And the second point, is it visible at all?
No.
Okay. No. Yeah. So I will steal your mouse for a moment. If you can see, you go to use case management. It's free as a service of buildingSMART International. It's free. You create an account. It's just a connection. Create your own account. Then you will be able to see full content. Full content means process maps, files, attachments, maybe some important documents that are being provided. And as if you scroll down, there is just two examples that I definitely want to open as an example. So this is the first one. And we have like from sustainability, and this one is from Germany that I mentioned. As you can see, you scroll down, there are already I don't see it. If you go to use case management, you can simply open it, and as a registered user, you'll be able to see the whole content, and you can simply download it, the whole as a PDF, as a zip archive, or you can simply go to the original source. As you can see, what I mean by referencing, as you can see, you can also reference use cases when you will be creating any. Second example, we also use the same way, saying in bSDD, you create content, right? The full content, but you go back and you have a chance to upload IDS with specific for maybe for as a template for specific project, but you can use it as to define further specific ones. IDS is open standard, so it means you can adapt it and develop it further. So yeah, I think we can wrap up. Or Stefan, you have questions?
Just a thing to add, which I think is important for users in the end. As from my understanding, bSDD is compliant with the ISO 23386, ISO 23387, and ISO 12006-3. Is that correct?
To the extent that it's possible, because they are not compliant with each other. So we have a table where we show how we map to each of them, because each of them have different concepts and names. So
okay,
there's no one way to implement it.
Okay. But especially for people that are looking forward to the European regulations regarding data product passports and what is coming there, I think that is a very, very, very heavy argument to using the bSDD. On the other hand, from a user's perspective, we have our own data dictionary, and we are not sure yet if we want to publish our content on the bSDD just because there is another channel where we publish it. But that is something that time will tell. Just looking back at the development over the last couple of years, bSDD has done a very impressive progress.
Arthur, maybe we're in the last 10 minutes of this session. Maybe we should end with this particular web page. If you want to advertise the update to the bSDD and the improved interface through the web page, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes, we are now trying to update all of our pages, and if you go to the bSDD page under the bSDD International main page, you will see that there are guidance materials, there are links to certain dictionaries. You will see also the link to the new user interface of the search bSDD function, and also we are going to add more and more training materials down there below. So if you scroll down a bit, here you can also see the most popular data dictionaries, the most popular not the most popular, but some softwares that implemented. We are keeping the list up to date, so you can have a look which tools already support it. You can, in the Get Familiar with bSDD section, you can also see the videos from previous summits. You can see guidelines, documentation. Below, we also have the technical section. FAQs, but also below there is a part for developers. If you want to implement bSDD, we have some, we have documentation. We have also a forum where you can ask questions, where you can also propose ideas. So it's all there. Thanks to Adrian and Andre for, improving the website. And soon we also have updated pages for all of our solutions. So yes, it's ongoing progress. But if you also want to get involved more in, for example, providing feedback to bSDD, we check the links. We have a link to the forum where you can also ask questions, and there's a link to a page on GitHub where you can submit ideas or feedback. What is not working for your use case? Yes, and this page, which you will find among the links, is listing all of the tools that claim that they support bSDD. So this is, let's say, a bottom-up table. We are not reviewing the content here that much. So if you know also any other tools that are implementing bSDD or other buildingSMART solutions, and you don't see them on the list, please notify the owner, the vendor. So we have the all of them in there. This is just the bSDD list, right? So those are all of the tools that claim support for bSDD. But we have a table for all of the solutions, IDS, IFC, BCF, and it's hundreds of software. So if you haven't seen it, I think it's quite useful. Thanks, John. Are there any questions? Do we have time?
We do. We've got 10 minutes to think. We've probably got time for any last thoughts, questions, or comments from one or two people.
Maybe not a question, comment or a wish or something like that. I don't know. But Tina was presenting what we have, what we are now actually piloting, and I think when in our organization we tell that buildingSMART has tools for digitalization as requirements and data dictionaries and that kind of thing, and that's the way to in future to really give the clients requirements to everybody digitalized. Everybody say, wow, that's something. They are not interested if it bSDD or it is IDS or what three-letter thing it's, but it's very important. Yesterday we had a few beers with G and the French horse, but we were discussing actually we have all the same similar problems and similar piloting things, a little bit differently. Edward, I had the discussion and he has the same. I think every client has the same ideas. We are everybody thinking now a little bit differently those things, and maybe it would be one good session for in future to have that kind of session that no slides, just show what you have done. Let's compare the things how we are doing things and what are the best solutions to share information. Yeah. Idea.
Yep, I think that's an excellent suggestion, Tama. We'll take that one away. Thank you. One more question from the floor.
I work for several clients in the Netherlands, but sometimes I think let's start to create some publication on bSDD, but then it's with my own credentials, like I created it, but can you also move the publication to another owner so that you change the ownership of the, for example, I start with the name of my company to create it for a client, but actually the client has to take over the publication, but can you switch the name or the ownership of dictionaries?
Thanks. Yeah, it happened a few times that somebody asked this question. So basically every resource that you publish has its own identifier, which is, it has to be fixed. But it's of course possible that you inactivate this and you publish it as another organization. But if somebody is using the old one, they still should be able to find it. So we will keep both. But yes, so yeah, instead of changing the link, give the possibility that you update it, like you add a new one and update the other one, but both will be still available. Yeah, because if somebody is using your resource, even if it's not somebody from your project or company, they need to rely on like stable definitions, so it cannot disappear. That's the case if you change the status to active, which means it's already, let's say, approved. If you open any dictionaries, if you scroll down below, let's say open the uni class, for example, you will see that, yeah, the internet give me a headache. You will see that the status is preview, and it says it might change because change the status to active. So this will not stay forever unless they change the status to active, and that's when they freeze it.
Those that are not anymore in preview, they will stay there forever for 50 years.
Yes, they can change status to inactive, meaning that they are no longer, so you will still find the content.
bSMART will be here for at least the next 50 years. Okay, one last question from David, and we're going to wrap up.
Is there a way to, sorry, because I don't know is there a way to track who is linking to?
Okay. Who's linking to your content? Yes, but I don't have a slide on this, but
the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. We have pretty charts showing also how many users use certain definitions a day, and we can provide it, but it's not public. We can show it in Singapore.
Let me show you one really interesting one. Just one class. Any wish
but
from
IFC.
John, last one.
How many backlinks you got?
No, but the question was more about the usage. The question was more about the usage, like how many models are linking this class? How many users have seen this class?
Then it should be download,
or you can ask me after. I can show you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Been a great session. I'm going to wrap things up for us. just want to thank Infrastructure and Railway Domain and steering committees for setting up this joint session, and Mirbeck from the Building Steering Committee for joining us. Thanks very much, Tina, and to Stefan and to Arta. And this session is over, and I'll be closing it online very shortly, but thanks for joining us in the room and online. This is the last session of the last day of the summit in Marrakesh. However, hopefully many of you will be joining the summit dinner this evening. I'm reliably informed the best way to get to the summit dinner is to take one of the coaches or buses from the hotel reception, the first of which will be leaving at 6 p.m. and I believe the last 30. So don't be late. See you later. Thank you.